Okay. We will bring the October 9th Selectmen's meeting to order. Open session public meetings are subject to being videotaped. Your image and voice may be recorded. And our first appointment of this evening is with the building inspector about the study update and the inspector's compensation.
You want to come up?
Want to come up?
No. Thank you for seeing me again. How was everybody after the long weekend? Good, I hope?
Yep.
All right, so the bulk of this remained much the same. Some things were changed. We had a few conversations last week. One with Alan Henry and June and myself. The other one was the NRP group. We met with them as well, just doing a pre-construction meeting. So I had petitioned the board to make some sort of a favor on whether or not they would support a local inspector coming on board with this particular project, and also something to budget for coming up in the next fiscal year. In a conversation that I had with the NRP group, they are willing to actually take on the cost of the burden for that individual to come on for the 10 to 12 hours a week to help with their project in particular. They'll pay for that. Their project is slotted for 2 years to be start to completion. So what I asked of them, if that is something that they would be willing to offset the burden for and cover that for the 2 years worth of their project, they agreed that they would be willing to do that, and that would also support their project as far as getting better service and things like that. That was something that has been historically done in the past here when they were putting in the Solomon Pond Mall. They requested that the contractor pay for additional help for the size of the project, and that contractor at that time said no problem. So far NRP has agreed with that. If the work continued to grow and be to a point where we think maybe keeping on this individual may be beneficial for the community, we could revisit in a couple of years and then maybe budget appropriately for that. So something to consider off, but it holds that individual off from being a part-time employee through us.
Is it too early for a question?
No, go ahead, ask questions right along.
So would this individual be doing regular inspections or electrical inspections or plumbing or all of the above? Or
it would be building inspections.
Okay.
Just no electrical, plumbing, gas, or anything like that.
Okay.
That takes a specialty inspector. If Al and Henry told me that they would not be able to keep up with the flow and maybe they needed somebody, that would be something I would consider bringing on board as well. But both of them indicated that they could probably take care of that portion. The thing with this particular project, that person would be dedicated pretty much for doing this project in addition.
Right.
Because with the amount of workload we have coming in on top of this project would allow me to continue with servicing customers throughout the entire town, responding to complaints and doing departmental stuff and things like that.
Okay.
So they would be strictly for the NRP project. And again, if the workload continues to increase as it's foreseen for right now, if it keeps trending in that direction, then possibly in a couple of years we may want to consider maybe making this a position that is something that could stay with town and we could budget appropriately for. So they had said, and June and I are working this out, but the 31.2 is the maximum. They're willing to pay the 31.2 per year, so a total of 62.4, and they want to give that to the town in order to just pay this individual for up to 12 hours for a week for the 2 years.
Okay.
I did let them know. I said, let me know when you're going to start building, because I don't want to bring the person in too soon and then we run out of those 2 years worth of funds and their project is still going on and then we have to budget for it. So I'd much rather have that person start the completion on their project.
And is this something that we need to put out an ad to advertise and so on and so forth, and maybe a job description and...
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so NRP, to make this as fair as it should be, even though NRP is supplying the compensation for this individual, so that this individual is not kind of on their side, so to speak, that they're impartial. They left the choosing of the individual up to me and to making sure that they meet all the requirements in the building code that makes them a building inspector. Ultimately, I had listed in here who would make a good candidate for this position. Of course, they need to meet the minimum requirements set forth in the building code in order to be a building inspector. But we can go through or I can go through rather, and put together a job description, and then we can put that in, maybe get some candidates and at least start talking to them. And then once I get a definite on when they're going to start doing their construction, that's something we can bring them on at that point in time. And I would just let them know that it would be probationary on a 2-year period for this particular project. That's what they would be responsible for doing the extra inspections on. And then if there was other things, future needs, then we would revisit later on after this project is over. Okay. That way that individual coming in would realize that they're here for a specific reason, and then if the need arises, there's something we can discuss later, at a later time.
Don't flip the page yet.
Okay.
Tons of questions.
Okay.
Warned you. All right, so the 10 to 12 hours, how did you come up with 10 to 12 hours?
So 10 to 12 hours it fluctuates between basically the type of inspection work needed. If this individual would come in 10 to 12 hours, it could be, maybe come in for a couple hours during the morning. It might be they come in during the morning and the afternoon. It all depends on where the workflow is going to be. As of right now, they got their permit, or they will be receiving their permit very shortly for the cistern tanks, which doesn't require much on the building end of things, other than when they're doing the setting for that. But probably by the end of this week, they will get the first 4 building permits for the units that have 24 apartments in them. So they'll have 4 buildings with 24 apartments. That allows them to start putting in foundations, doing underground work, start pulling permits for those projects. I did let them know that the structural portion is good, so they're free to get those 4. The other buildings, I'm in the process of looking now. The way I can see the project and how it's going, I would say by December 1st, if not sooner, they'll have all permits in hand. And then it's basically on their time frame. They can move as fast as they want or as slow as they want, and it's completely up to them.
In here you had said 31.2, but then you just mentioned 62.4.
Right. That's 2 years worth of that.
Okay. And if we were to enter into, would we enter into a contract with them, or are they our vendor, or is it just going to be Tommy Person works for NRP, but he's going to only support the town of Berlin for those 10 to 12 hours?
No, so they'll be working for us as a community. They'll have to be employed by us, but the pay in which they're going to get paid, and June, help me out if I'm wrong, would be a W-2 issued by us for part-time staff. However, the funds for that W-2 would come from NRP directly. However, they've decided to allocate that money, or I don't know how we can work that out.
Still waiting for a phone call to confirm it, but I know in the past we did it, and it was like in a donation type of account, and we paid them direct out of that. If that's what the money is given to us for.
Okay.
I just wanted to double check on it before we.
So I turn in my W-2 to you, or you? Not you.
No, it would be more like a time card or.
All right, so I turn in my time card and you look and say, oh, yep, Tommy worked 12 hours. Then what happens after that? You submit that
the
to...
payroll just like you would anybody else's payroll.
Okay, but then how does the money come from NRP to us? That's what you're still trying to figure out?
Through a donation. So NRP has decided that they will give us a donation of $62,400, which covers the 2 years of that person's salary.
All at one time?
All at one shot, yeah. They wanted to call it a contribution to the building department.
Any issues with...
I'm gonna confirm that there wouldn't be an issue with that.
Okay.
I got phone calls in, but I haven't heard anything back.
I got calls? I got phone calls
people.
in? I got people?
They just haven't gotten back to me.
All right. So, in the next paragraph, I know you said another option is a contract position, so NRP is gonna pay us a done deal, or are we still
No, so-
considering contract?
So this contract portion here would be if we were taking on that individual as a town employee without NRP support.
Okay. And are we sure we don't wanna go that way?
As of right now, I think it's probably the best case scenario to do it through NRP,
Okay.
because that project is starting up soon. And if we budget for this portion or this individual, we wouldn't be able to get them on board until at least after next fiscal year,
Right.
which I think will slow things down. So this way here, we can fast track it using NRP. And then, like I said, if it's something that we find is still a need and it's working well, we can budget for it appropriately on the following fiscal year.
Okay.
Okay,
All right,
moving on.
move on to the second page. Any questions up front on the second page?
I'll wait.
Okay.
Well, because you
Maybe it'll
may
be
answer,
covered.
well, you may
All right.
answer some of them, so.
Okay, so moving forward, so onto the next page. It gives a little bit of description of what I'd be looking for that local inspector, and what they would have. That's about the top portion of it. And also, it talks a little bit about the inspector's pay that are currently coming in for for plumbing, gas, and electrical. After our conversations on Friday, it seems reasonable that due to the project coming in from the NRP and the project taking 2 years, that both Al and Henry will remain at offset receipts for the duration of that project and any other projects being done in town. After that fact, we would be going into an hourly rate that we have all agreed on. Both of them would be at $50 an hour for up to 19 hours a week, with the flexibility of going over, higher or lower throughout the course of the year. So the 19 hours a week is on average, rather than, you can't work past 19. So some weeks they may work 30, other weeks they may work 5 or 10 or something along that lines. In general, it'll offset itself throughout the course of the year. Both Al and Henry have been amenable to that. They think that's reasonable, and so that's the route we're going with that.
Which fiscal year are we talking about?
So right now, the NRP project will be starting at some point, like the end of this year, calendar year, beginning of next calendar year. So that still starts it in fiscal year 19.
Mm-hmm.
It'll probably end around fiscal year 21. After fiscal year 21, then that would mean fiscal year 22, we would be looking to switch the two gentlemen over to an hourly rate.
Okay.
All right. At that point in time, we would revisit the structure of their compensation, such as not only an hourly rate, but that they'll get travel and things of that nature to help offset with any driving and that they'll have to give us a timesheet on a weekly basis so that we can pay them appropriately. And like I was explaining to them, if you work 30 hours, we'll pay you for 30 hours, and then if you get paid 5 hours one week, then you get paid 5 hours one week. It's exactly what you work.
Mm-hmm.
So, and again, they seemed okay with that.
Okay.
How does that work, though, benefit-wise? If you're eligible, you're over the 19 hours one week, but you're under, how does that impact ACA? These are just all...
It's based on 20 hours a week, so if it averages 20 hours for the year, then it would be benefited.
If it averages more than...
If it averages 20 or more,
Yeah.
it's benefited if they were being an hourly employee.
So it's cumulative for 20 hours a
Yeah.
week. And who's tracking it?
So they'll turn in a time slip to me each week, but these guys are going to track their own time.
Okay.
I've noticed too that June picks up pretty quick if somebody's starting to go over that. I'm not sure if you look.
We
but
tried, but the brain isn't always as
Yeah.
clear some
I've
weeks
noticed
as
though that you
others.
seem to catch that pretty quick.
So is there a difference with you know, Henry, what you're getting paid now at 95% of the fees versus going hourly 2 years from now? I mean, is it?
Yeah, I'm 75%, but yeah,
Okay.
it is a decrease in pay.
And you're all right
Actually,
with that?
in your package,
Yeah.
and you may have seen this, this is, and I don't know if you have this or not, this is their 5 years, what they've done historically. So, Henry is at top, okay, starting in fiscal year 14 to where he was last year, what he paid. Okay, now, at this rate would be both of them, they'd both be at $50 an hour. This is what he will be making instead of this going forward. Same thing with Al, right underneath, as you can see, fiscal year 14 to last year, what he made, to what this will be. So they'll both be set at that. Of course, it's at the average of the 19 hours over the course of the year. So if you look at what this number is to what this number is, it's a significant increase.
But they're also gonna be doing a lot more work,
Mm-hmm.
is what the thought process
Right,
is,
is
too.
right. That's what the thought process was. Yeah.
So, Henry, what happens when you're going like gangbusters one week, it's 40 hours, next week it's 40 hours? I mean, where is that kind of like warning sign of it's not gonna be 20 hours or under 20 hours cumulative if you're going like gangbusters and all this work is coming
Right.
in, because then we start getting into benefits. So how is that?
I think that's just gonna be found out as time goes on, as to how much is coming into the town, what our workload's gonna be. There's no way that we can know.
Looking at our projections right now with this particular project and other projects that have already gone through the planning process and that are going to be coming into town, we're looking at probably about $130 to $160 million worth of work over the next 5 years coming into this community. So there's a lot of work here.
Right, and I'm not questioning the work, I'm just questioning, going back to the impact of benefits and ACA and all that other stuff, is that how do we make sure that all of a sudden we've blown through the average of 19 hours a week and now you're at 25, 30, and then we start getting into legal problems where you should be benefited, but you're not.
I
I'd
think
almost
that's
say
what-
by the time we go hourly, it's gonna be, probably they'll be
In a couple
benefited at
years,
that
yeah.
time.
Okay.
And I think you run into that problem either way. If they're working that many hours, then they should be benefited.
Yeah. Well, the other thing on that is, I have an assistant inspector. So if I didn't want to work the 40 hours, and I only wanted to work my 19, Dennis would be doing it, or, you know, at this point.
Okay. And you're comfortable with the 19 hours estimate?
Yeah,
Okay. Because I know last week you had concerns that you were kind of sort of already doing that.
well, that's
and
it.
that
I
there's
mean,
more work.
that's why I say I think that needs to be felt out, but it's a comfortable number to start with,
Okay.
you know, at this point. We're not gonna know till the phone rings. Usually about 7 o'clock, the text start.
And of course, right now, that's a couple years away
Right.
anyway. You know,
Once the projects start, I think you'll have a better
yeah.
handle on how many hours are actually involved
Right.
versus right now, it's just based on
I guess.
inspection.
Yep.
Right.
We'll have to revisit this at some point, I'm
Mhm.
assuming.
I would say closer to the end of the NRP project winding
Right.
down is when we'll probably have to revisit this.
Yeah,
You know, and of course, a project of this size coming in when it came in, you know, we didn't foresee this happening. Financially, what it's bringing into the town, or what is going to be expected of all of us, as far as inspectors and everything. So, is there any other questions that you might have?
Yeah, before we flip the page, because what page are you on?
I'm on page 2.
Oh,
Did you guys
Jumped.
not get the updated one?
no, I did.
Okay.
No, I printed.
it might have been the third update.
It could've- yeah.
It's in your yellow folder, it's what you handed me
Oh.
today.
Well, I wondered what all this stuff was.
No, I have it. So on this page, I think it's number 2, where it starts with the ideal candidate.
Yes, okay.
Okay, all
Yep.
right, so we're all on the same page.
Okay.
You had talked about a vehicle, an
Yes.
inspector's vehicle. So
Yes.
I know that, and I think that you were involved in this discussion, where there was a talk about David not being allowed to take vehicles home. town-owned vehicles that now become basically sitting in somebody's yard. Is there any policy on that? Do you know offhand? Because I know
well,
there
some
was
people
questions
are-
about like
do take-
Keith taking, you
Yeah,
know.
no, that, a lot of them, they do take vehicles home, but it's one of those where you have to get into the IRS rules, as far as bringing a vehicle home, as to whether or not it's an emergency vehicle.
All right,
Is
so we
is
would
it
need that.
doable? We've looked into it a little bit as far as, you know, it's not that there's a problem, it's just if you take it home and it's not an emergency vehicle based on the IRS ruling, then whatever the cost is, has to be added to their W-2 as a benefit.
I know there was some talk about you guys sharing a vehicle that was already present too.
Me?
Where did that?
No, so
I thought there was talk of you guys sharing so that one of the vehicles that had gone out from police or something.
Oh, yeah, I do
Right?
kind of
You
remember
this
that.
conversation?
Yeah.
Dave has a pickup that says Truck 6 on it, or Car 6 or something like that on it.
Okay.
Occasionally we'll ride together if we're going to the same place and things like that. This would be separate from that because I don't have access to that vehicle if Dave's not in. This would be strictly for the, building department itself.
For some reason, I thought this was a police vehicle or something that was going out.
Maybe
I
it
didn't
was
think
one of the,
It wasn't a pickup truck, was
Maybe
it?
it was one of the safety officers, either one of the chiefs
Okay.
brought it up. I don't know where I heard it.
There was a car floating around at some point, so
Yeah.
this had been brought up before.
Okay. Because I was looking into it and, when I respond to, in the evenings, if I have to go to a fire call or car into a building or something along that lines for the emergencies, or something to do over the weekend, if something similar, building fire or something like that, that I would respond to. Instead of me rolling up in my car and people wondering who I am, I would have a vehicle that has the town seal and a lettering saying Inspectional Services Zoning Enforcement on the side, and then it would have white and yellow strobes to indicate a emergency vehicle coming in, no red or blue or anything like that, lights on it. But that was the thought process behind this. I did reach out to both the fire chief and the police chief. Nobody had made a mention to me that a vehicle was already currently around.
It may not have been something that was
Mm.
around, it may
Right,
be
maybe
something that may
when
come to
someone-
fruition at some point.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So, because I was talking with them, like, where do you guys go, that type of thing. And they both pointed me in great directions to kind of come up with a price that would be reasonable to talk to FinCom about. So that was something I was actually going to present to them in the next few weeks for this, because fiscal year's budgeting is right here.
Mhm.
So I wanted to make sure that I put it in the budget for that, for the purchase.
And those were my questions. I have cost with a big question mark. Have you gone to capital planning? Have you gone to finance on this? I mean, obviously, this is gonna be a huge expense, which I'm sure you're gonna, it would require a new one every so many years. So I just wanna make sure that we're forward-thinking on this and not just an immediate need.
Mhm. Well, one thing is, for this vehicle would last roughly 10 years, and look at this vehicle, it's not going to be beat on or abused like you would on a high-speed chase, like a police vehicle or an ambulance,
That
or
means you're not driving it.
or
You
fire
already
apparatus.
told me I couldn't.
So it isn't a vehicle that's going to get a ton of wear and tear.
Mhm.
It's going to get, of course, a little muddy here and there, getting in and out of tough construction sites, but not like off-road four-wheeling or anything like that. There is a limit to what a vehicle can do. You treat it like your own vehicle and say, would I do that? So, but that's really the reason why that's set up, is because my personal car that I have now, the clearance is too low. So the vehicle that I'm looking to get would be either like a Ford Explorer or a Jeep that has a higher ground clearance for getting in and out of these construction sites, where I don't have to walk knee-deep in mud.
And it most likely would be a capital plan item. You wouldn't be putting this in your budget.
So Okay, so.
Not for the vehicle itself, but
Right.
you have to put the gas and the repairs and all that kind of stuff in the regular budget.
Yeah.
Right.
And so, I need to meet with FinCom, I need to meet with capital planning,
Mhm.
but I want to make sure that we can get it in the budget for this upcoming fiscal year, seeing that we have time and that budget's going to be coming out soon to put in, so.
Can I also encourage that you at least try to look at something green from an
Yeah.
energy committee standpoint?
Yeah,
Do they
I
make
was
green
good.
Jeeps?
They
Well,
do.
They make
Yeah.
a
They do.
variety of,
Yeah,
yeah.
I
And it's, at this point, it's a better option probably for the town too, just because from a maintenance standpoint, it's a lot less to maintain a
yeah,
vehicle like
yeah,
that.
and we are
than it
part of the
is
Green
gas.
Communities Act, so
Yeah.
all that would be taken into consideration, yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Because if it's something that can be covered by the Green Communities Act,
Mhm.
and whether there be a grant out of there or something that would pay for the whole vehicle, something along that lines, something to consider, so.
But I'm assuming that you're thinking that this is made feasible too by the numerous fees that are coming in from these various projects.
Right, which
Sort of
wouldn't
that
be,
process.
which wouldn't be usable until next fiscal year anyhow, but yes.
You coached
That's it.
him on that one, didn't you? That's my girl. All right.
We've been
Mhm.
working very closely as a team here.
Mhm.
I like that. That's good.
All right.
All right, and then the agency overview, legal authority, basically gives a quick background about the department, what we do in the department, and then the structure and organizational chart of the department. Board of Selectmen, of course, first, building commissioner, and then you have the wiring, plumbing, and gas, local building inspector, and part-time land use clerk. They're all part-time, would be under myself as their department head, and would be responsible for budgeting, both the wiring, part-time, plumbing and gas as well, local, and land use clerk. So that would be budgeting their pay, budgeting for the departments and the needs of their departments, and moving forward that way. Right now, I have some shirts coming in that are going to have the town seal with a name underneath, building commissioner, zoning, electrical inspector.
You
So
don't like your shirt?
I guess not.
he still wants to rip the sleeves off them. I said, no,
I want
yeah.
a photo with
Yeah.
the new shirt on.
I did talk to Al. This money that I had put in the budget last year to be utilized this year for clothing and stuff. I also talked to Al and Henry, and I said maybe we get a chance, maybe on a Saturday, something. I also want to take them to Working Gear in Worcester, and the three of us will pick out a winter jacket, a raincoat, and then a vest, so that covers the seasons. Again, have the town seal put on it, and then on the back it'll say building official, electrical inspector, everything. So that, again, if we're responding to a scene at night, or even if we're on a construction scene during the day and it's a misty, foggy day, at least we can stand out and people know where we are. Also get hard hats too with the town seal on it. So the biggest thing that these guys are very open to, and what I would like to do is bring a very sense of professionalism to the department. Typically we're the eyes and ears of the community, especially when we're out there and we're doing inspections. Sometimes we're the first people to interact with the town, whether it be by phone call, email, or in person. And if they can recognize us at their door and we can let them know who we are, one, we look very professional, and two, with our manners, most people are like, hey, that was a great interaction. So I try to promote that as much as possible.
So, not to get off subject,
No.
what's the difference between a building commissioner and a building inspector?
So the state, okay, does not recognize me as a building inspector. The state says I am considered either an inspector of buildings or a building commissioner at my level, and then a person that would be under me would be a local inspector. So, but a building inspector is not actually a license in the state.
So do we need to change your job description to building commissioner?
Yeah. But that's
He's just been
okay.
historically appointed and reappointed as inspector.
Right.
Yeah, I think it's just your own call. If you want to change it to commissioner, you can do that.
Yeah, I mean, the state, that's how the state recognizes us, and my license states that.
Right.
But
So then does this one need to change, the little person? the little box?
The land use clerk?
No, yeah, the building inspector, does that need to change?
Yeah, it should say part-time local building inspector.
All right,
So, local building inspector is, and sometimes when you say a local building inspector, they think of,
he's close by.
yeah, right.
He
Yeah,
lives in town.
right, yeah, yeah.
Well,
I know,
It could be.
yeah,
but you never know,
okay.
so. And then we can move into the plumbing and gas inspector if you wanna, we can whip through this pretty quick. Of course, plumbing and gas is 95%. So we would keep that, the offset receipts right through now, right through the NRP project, including any fees that continue to come in during the NRP project. At the end of that cycle, which is that 2-year window that they're looking for, the next fiscal year coming up, that was when we would start budgeting them for an hourly wage. And that, I think, would work out well. Both of them had agreed.
Where's your gun, Henry?
Sorry about that.
Both of them agreed, though, that would be
Ducks and dogs.
pretty good, that they wouldn't have a problem with that. Again, basically, the way we came up with the offset receipt budgeting, I'm going to put both Henry and Al, at least for the next 2 years, due to the size of this project and what is foreseen from historical permits that have been coming in. For this year's upcoming budget for 20 and 21 will be at $100,000 each. And that's just because of the nature of this project. I had given you a chance to look at the permit fees for this project. Have you gotten a chance to look at that?
Yep.
So, looking at it real quick, Henry did out so first of all, in the building permit, we're gonna collect the permit fee of $334,555.23. And then they're gonna pay an additional 3% on that for the current permitting process. So, NRP will actually pay us $344,591.89. That will cover the 3% surcharge from GOTMS, which will be going away with view permit. And the other portion of that fee will be coming to us. And then we went through with Al and Henry, and we did electrical and gas and plumbing fees. So, looking at the total for the River Bridge, plumbing and gas, the commercial portion is what it's going to fall under. The total cost between plumbing and gas commercial is $122,120. That'll be for all permits for all of those buildings, which are 21 buildings over there. So if you take 95% of that, you're over $100,000. So even though that's going to be split up in about 2 years, so say that's 50 and 50, right, each year. And then you have everything else that comes in on top of it. You're going to be close to that $100,000 mark with these fees for plumbing and gas just for that one project. And then there's an additional just for the clubhouse. It's a smaller fee, which is $1,500 and $1,550. That is just going to be 95% of that. And then with Henry, he did out his, I worked with him on the electrical permit fee. So based off of everything we did with that, the electrical permit fee for that whole project is $99,671, which he gets 75% of. Again, that's going to be split over 2 years, foreseeably, and then that'll also, he'll get the anything else that comes in over the year. So again, setting him at about $100,000 is it's maybe a little on the high side, but it's a close guesstimate of what possibly could happen. So that's why both of them are set at 2 years for $100,000, at least during the course of this. We'll be able to, once the project's over and we get a chance to put them at an hourly rate and recalculate the budget that way, which will be more feasible with a steady number. We'll bring them both at about $50,000 each a year. Just off of this one project, based off of the 5-year projection that I got from fiscal year 14 to this past year, just going to the hourly rate of $50 per hour, automatically lifts them above what they've made over the past couple of years alone. So in the discussion that we had, that seemed to be a fair and reasonable decision, again, for all of us to make. One thing June and I were talking about, and June had a conversation with these guys, were because of the way the NRP project is set up, the project itself does not lend itself well to individual contracts because you have 21 different buildings. So at this time, I'm going to just turn it over to June with what she had come up with, and I think it's a great idea. We just need to put it into play.
In the past, like when we did the hotel, they paid the permit fee in one lump sum. So it was easy for us to do a single contract, divided over the course of a year, and pay it that way. Where it's not a definite, but we're assuming that they're gonna be pulling permits as they're working. So it's not gonna be one big lump sum. It's gonna be possibility of 31 different small projects that they actually pull permits on. So instead of us sitting down and going through and making a contract every single time that somebody pulls a permit, then us making up a contract, coming to you, signing off before we can pay them. I had come up with a little bit of a proposal to see if we could sign off on one contract to cover all of that, so that anytime that they do a project, whether it be this one that we're talking about or any of the other ones that are in the works right now, because we don't know exactly when they're gonna start, that if there's any projects that go over more than a month, because currently right now they're paid monthly based on what the fees are. If any of the projects go for more than a month, we'll just break it out based on the project. So if somebody comes in on the clubhouse, say, and they put down $10,000 of a permit fee, and they decide that it's gonna take 10 months to do, then we divide it by 10. If they say the project's gonna take 3 months, we'll divide it by 3. Depending on the project is how we'll do it, and we'll just work it that way. If we find that there's some sort of a holdup on the project, so instead of it taking the 5 months, it may take 8 months, well, then we can put a hold on it if we have to until the project's gonna be completed. So that way they were not paying out more money to the inspectors or prepaying them, and then us later on, either they can't make it, or they get ill, and can't do anything.
You go
Al keeps
visit your
saying
grandkids.
dies,
Oh,
so we don't want
that's
him to
true.
die.
That's
Let's
true.
just say
That's
they're
more-
That's the nice
ill.
That's more of it. That's more likely.
And that way that we have the money in the town so that we can pay somebody else to cover for them. So that's kind of the reasoning.
The other thing too, which will help with this, where we're in at that 2-year mark with NRP, and for this particular project, I think that works well, but June and I had a conversation, and I think I brought something to light that she was unaware of. It's like, somebody comes in, right, and let's say a house being built here in Berlin. You get a house comes in, usually takes between 3, maybe 4 months to build a house start to finish. Well, June was under the assumption they come in, they pull the permit, it's within a month and it's done. But it's not. So if somebody comes in and pays an electrical permit for, say, let's say some astronomical number, $10,000, right? And it's going to take 3 months or 4 months to do that project. Well, if we didn't do the contract thing, they would get 75%, so $7,500 up front. And then that project needs a final inspection, but unfortunately the inspector is no longer with us or whatever. He got the $7,500. However, we have no money now to pay for the final inspection. You see where we're going with this?
Yeah,
So-
the hotel, I think we did, that was the same thought process.
Yeah.
I
So-
mean, any of the big projects we've done, like we did it with Solomon Pond too. We did it with Highland. Not so much Highland, but it was just one of those where it's a bigger lump sum at one time, and they're gonna have to put in time to complete them, just for the
Right.
safety of the town.
But what's nice about what June has set up is that it can go for a wide variety of projects, not just this NRP project, but, you know, somebody's coming in, they're gonna build 5 houses. right? They pull so many permits. Instead of getting that permit money right up front and then you have nothing to continue with, you just enter into an agreement such as what this blanket would be, and it would just say, okay, this is going to take 3 months for this house, and so on and so on. So then we can factor it in appropriately.
And that way there too, if we figure on,
Bless
bless
you.
God bless you.
if we estimate it, say it's 6 months and it winds up being finished in 3, we can adjust it too and
Right.
just say, okay, you got sign off that you're completed and we'll just pay what's
Yeah.
owed, so.
And you know,
That actually did happen when Tom got done. He got all the inspection money, and when I started, for the first few months, the paycheck was quite slim.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it sounds like a way to rectify the situations.
And it was just so this way here, we could do it all in one pot if you had agreed to that. And then that way there, we can just, I mean, if we find there's a problem or you find there's a problem, we can always go back and amend it if we have to. But just to get it
Just the
started
typo
where it's
that I
gonna.
found. Huh?
I know, good job.
yeah. So, I believe we have to, do we have to present this to the fall town meeting or the annual town meeting? Or do we have to present it at all? Because when it comes to me budgeting them this year, like I said, I'm gonna budget them both at 100,000, but I'm taking into consideration the large projects. So, I wanna be able to represent to the people that this is not like they're working part-time and they're getting 100 grand. It's offset receipts based on fees collected, and, you know, I just wanna make sure that we can get that across and people understand that, you know. they
Thinking
didn't-
it's probably just really important to explain to FinCom
Okay,
and capital planning.
okay.
It
We
will.
also have an actual section in the annual town report
Mhm.
that you could probably briefly address changes in the department with too.
Okay,
Yeah, when
I-
you do your annual report.
yeah, all right.
And
Because-
they're also doing a lot more work too. It's not like
Oh, yeah.
the
no.
fees have just gone up and
Yeah.
they're just
No,
not doing anything
right,
either.
yeah,
So I mean,
yeah.
the workload's gonna be.
No,
pretty
I plan on touching upon a lot of this here. I'm already starting to put together things for the budget coming up.
Yeah.
I never like to be behind the 8 ball. I always want to be ahead of it just in case something
Mhm.
comes up. So I am already working on the budget and things to put in.
Now, you're working on the 20 budget.
Right.
Will be, now, for this fiscal year, we've already got the offset receipts. We're pretty sure that it's gonna be able to cover it. Just where we're mid-year. As far as the
Well-
offset receipts for what the project's gonna start for this year.
The project is going to start this year. We will be receiving permit fees this year from that project. So if we're basing our fee structure off of offset receipts for anything that comes in this year. So I guess what I'm getting at, Al was scheduled for 80 grand this year. He may make a little more than that with this project coming on board as the project unfolds.
But that's total, not by June
Right,
30th.
Right.
Because that would be our only thing, is we'd have to keep everybody updated if
Yeah.
we start to get close to that, because we're gonna have to come up with money.
You're right,
I
right.
still have to hold it open.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, because you can't use the offset receipts until the following year, am I correct?
Correct.
Yeah.
But I have to keep them open, because if I turn them back, then,
Yeah.
We lose it.
yeah.
So yeah, I think that pretty much covers things, and everything else. Do I have permission to look into a inspector's vehicle from the board?
I think you could look all you want.
Yeah.
Alright. Well, I mean,
Just
like,
don't buy
I
it.
guess, no, like, I mean, it wouldn't be, like, again, it wouldn't be something until next fiscal year. However, I'd like to know if I can talk to FinCom and capital planning.
Why don't you see what the reaction is at FinCom and, and capital planning for the
Yeah,
vehicle?
yeah. Well, that's what I mean. I want
Yeah.
to be able to, at least, I don't want to go into one of their meetings and not be allowed
I
to
mean,
be
correct
there.
me if I'm wrong. I'm,
Yeah, Okay.
see what their reaction is.
okay. All right. I will meet with them as needed, especially working on the budget where the changes are
Mhm.
as far as the fee structure and things like that, because I'm sure they'll have questions, and if it's something we can handle before town meeting instead of on the floor,
Right.
I think that would be beneficial for all.
I think as long as there's things covered in your report, especially for this year,
Yeah,
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 and then the following year, you might have to put something else in to
yeah,
further the information.
yeah, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I will make sure it's very thorough.
Well, you seem to be doing a thorough job.
I try to, thank you.
Any other questions?
Not yet,
Not yet.
not yet.
Reserving for another time?
Indeed.
Okay.
All right. Well, thank you, ladies, very much.
You just want them to take this under advisement then and, because
Yeah.
I don't know when they're gonna start pulling the permits, that's my only.
Do
Well,
we need to vote on that or do something with that plan, or is it
So-
just
You mean
this
the
is how?
contracts?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or is
So-
this
I
just
don't know
how
if
we're
Mary
gonna
had pulled them or.
do things? What
I
do you
had
need
sent
from
them-
us?
Well, I had sent them out to you, this
Yep.
here's what they look like. If anybody had any changes or suggestions or questions, then it would just be an agreement between the board and the inspectors. And just so that way there, it can go into.
Just
Just checking the
effect.
math.
Yeah.
Yeah, make sure it's the right ones.
No, I didn't see a problem with them.
Okay, well, I didn't know if you had any other questions or any other thought processes of anything else that,
No, I think this is probably the best way to handle it.
I don't know if you want to do it as an effective date or if it's just something that we put into effect once everybody agrees and signs. So,
Well, I would defer to your suggestion, I guess.
well, my biggest thing is before the first permit is pulled.
well, can I make a suggestion? Because at the end of this week, they're gonna have 5 permits in place, 4 buildings and the cistern tanks. By the end of this week, maybe the cistern tanks the beginning of next week, but at least 4 of the apartment buildings will be ready to go, which means they can start doing the underground, they can start putting in foundations, they can start picking what they would like.
Okay.
And with weather that's 80 degrees outside, they may jump at the opportunity to start digging and working right along and getting that going.
Okay.
So
So
something
maybe sooner rather than later?
So
Yeah.
we should vote tonight if we agree on this.
Okay.
If you can, if you want to take it another week, that's up to you. I
I
mean,
don't know if you want to have both inspectors here at the same time and do it all at one pop, or,
Well,
that's up to you.
Al has no problem with this?
No.
No, he didn't have an issue with it.
Okay.
Motion to approve the contracts going forward for the NRP group and large projects.
Seconded.
Okay. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Perfect.
Awesome.
Thank you very much.
I'll give you the yellow one.
What?
So I'll give them to you both, so you
Oh,
can just like
geez.
sign on this packet.
And to your point about the inspector's vehicle, I was going to reach out to Tim and see if he has any information about
Oh, okay.
energy
Green vehicles.
green vehicles.
Yeah.
I can
And that
send you
should be
something
this,
off the state's green community website.
This
Okay.
is our procurement officer.
Hi.
Nice to meet you. Mary? Joe?
There's miles per gallon requirements for different vehicles. A lot of vehicles, there's many to choose from.
Are they?
Because it's on the state bid list, or?
That too?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I know one of the places we get hit the most is the vehicles in town, so.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I wanted to look at all avenues and see what works best for the community, rather than just being like, I'll take the red one,
Why don't you just,
you know?
Right.
why don't you just get a helicopter?
Right, yeah, helicopter. You know what?
I can just see the,
You know what? I'll get a drone.
Then you
And
don't
I'll-
even have to
and I'll
leave the
just-
office.
I'll
Oh,
do
there you
another
go. You don't even
in the
have to
office.
leave. Just get the drone out.
And
There
then
you go.
I'll hire my son
Okay,
because
so-
he's great with the video games. And he can come and
He can teach you how to
yep,
zoom in.
zoom in.
You want
You can
to
drop
give
stuff
us
off.
copies?
they're actually
Well,
using.
the one for Henry could be fully executed now, because Henry and Joe can both sign that. and
Yeah,
then-
one is for,
Yeah, yeah. So Henry, you would sign here.
here.
I don't know,
There
he's
you go.
got like 15 pens in
Like,
his pocket.
yeah, we go.
Go with the camo one.
He has a camo pen. Why would that not surprise me?
Cabela's camo.
I have invisible ink.
Yes.
Okay, we need a date on that too.
All right. That's that one, and this one here we can take care of with Al when I see him.
Okay.
All right, and then we have
And then
everything.
you want copies.
Just copies are fine. You
Yeah.
wanna hold on to the originals, Joe, in your office?
Yeah, I can
Their
do that.
personnel
over-
In their
Folders?
personnel
in their
file.
personnel
Yep.
file.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
Okay.
will do.
I'll just take copies.
All right, ladies, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Sir.
Oops, there.
Ian,
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, moving on.
we always need you. But no, you can go, but you're always needed.
We'll move on to the 1870 Town Hall project bill schedule. The amount is for $562.85.
I thought we were done.
Oh, this is,
We're never done. That's the look on your face over there. We're
no,
never
this
done.
one is from the account that I set up for electrical for the curatorial building.
Oh, okay.
We're not quite done yet.
Almost, really close, really close.
We'll see. So, and, yes. Okay, that's
Okay.
correct.
Motion to approve.
Do I hear a
Seconded. We got the money? We get the money?
We do so far,
All right,
I believe.
hurry up,
As of
pay
right
it.
now.
As of right this moment, yep. All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. You want 3 signatures on here, correct? All
Two,
3?
no?
At
Oh.
least, well, at least 2.
You send it to Lisa.
She's not feeling like signing it tonight, so your
good.
turn.
Well, she had to sign all the warrants.
Yeah. All right. And Mass Cultural Council, FY19 local cultural
I just threw that in only
council
because it came in the
funds.
mail over the weekend.
Oh,
It's
okay.
really just
This is
$4,500
a contract
formula.
that they pay us $4,500 if we sign
2
this
pages.
contract.
Mhm.
And what's the contract for?
$4,500 that comes down from the state to the local cultural council.
Oh, okay.
And they give it out to different things in town, like the library programs and
Yeah, cultural things. So do I hear a motion to have the chair sign this document?
motion to sign the document.
Go ahead and sign.
Second?
See.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Mary, could I get a copy of that?
Yes.
That's done.
Yep.
And today is 10/9.
Nine.
All right. It's nice to sign something where the money's coming to us.
Mm.
All right. There we go. Scheduled meeting for performance evaluations. Do we want to entertain a Saturday, or what is your preference?
I know everyone like reaches for their calendars.
Yep. I hate to say it, but this Saturday, my brother is coming to visit from Chicago.
I'm also tied up. First family weekend is this weekend.
Ooh. Wow. That seems early, but, no, I guess it's
I guess
October.
so. Yeah, probably they don't want to do it too late in New England. Otherwise
Yeah,
you're
weather,
buried in snow or
right,
interims.
yeah. So, there's the 20th, there's the 27th. That it shouldn't take us quite as long as it did in the past, since personnel is doing a lot of this. Am I correct?
Yes.
Last time, I think we had to meet like 2 or 3 times.
Yeah. I have training on the 20th, which puts
Okay.
us at the 27th.
All right. How are you doing over there?
Good.
So
Either or, so far it's open.
the 27th, is that the one you're looking at?
Yeah, because I'm in training like all day on the 20th.
Okay. So do we want to say the 27th? Like 9 o'clock? All right, October 27th at 9 o'clock. All right. Are we ready to move on? Okay. Mary has requested I put on the agenda attendance at trainings. Did you happen to send the information to Lisa and Peg, Mary?
I sent it this afternoon.
Oh,
It's also in your folder.
oh,
I
okay.
don't know that I saw it.
Yeah, I didn't see it.
Unless it's in my draft folder.
Do you have a key?
Mary does.
Oh, yeah.
Do we need to get you a higher rock?
Oh, wait, there it is. It came in at 6:21.
Oh,
No,
it did?
that's- wait.
Yeah, that's it.
Thanks, I was gonna search for it.
Thanks, maybe.
So this one is Saturday, October 20th, Devon's.
I'm actually going for this.
Cool.
The one on the 20th?
Yeah.
I actually was looking at it too, but I didn't get on the ball and do anything about it.
You still can. It's open till Friday.
Well,
You're not meeting now.
Yeah, I know. I'll think about it. What's the deadline to sign up for it?
Friday.
Friday.
Okay, I'll think about it. I'll take this with me and remind me. So it's the number 1 and the number 2 on this form, correct?
The number 2 I already asked about.
Okay.
You told me to bring this forward again. I'm still going to number 2, but I was seeking mileage, which is what I suspected that you were asking me to put forward again.
Oh, I don't remember actually. And it's in
Sunderland.
Sunderland? Where is that?
Well, if you look at,
That way.
yeah,
On Route
west.
2, that
If
way.
you look at the options, there really aren't a lot of swell options.
I know, that's why I didn't even know whether I would go.
Framingham would be the closest if you had Friday available. I don't, personally, but
Right.
I thought we had decided on 2. I didn't think this was one of them.
It isn't.
Which were the 2 that...
No, this one I think we denied.
you
Yeah,
told me to put
we
this,
did.
my requests forward again.
Well, yeah, I thought you had 2 additional.
1 at this
Yeah.
time.
Oh, okay.
I told you I was still going to this one, even if it's at my own expense.
Right. Yeah, so the new one is the one on October 20th, correct? My
I'm not
understanding is
sure-
correct.
I'm not sure.
That
This-
wasn't.
the one that says number 1.
Because I would have said I'm going to this, so there's no reason.
Oh,
Yeah, I'm already registered for it at my own expense and risk.
okay. So are you looking just for the mileage?
Not to Devon's, no.
I mean, for number 2?
Yes,
That's it?
for that one, yeah.
Okay.
For Devon's, it would be the registration fee.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm still going, we had refused number 2, and
Okay.
I'm going to number 1.
Uh,
And you're talking about going to number 1, so. I'm
No one's
not
going to
sure I
number
see
2?
that. I was gonna go to Framingham. If one of us wanted to go, we had talked about possibly a couple of us going there too, so.
Okay. Well, I think there was some kind of miscommunication between us. So what would you guys like to do? Leave it as is?
Well, I thought we'd already made a decision.
Right.
Not on the first one, you didn't.
That one wasn't the one that we were talking about, going to Devon's?
Nope.
Oh,
No,
so-
not before, not last week you weren't.
No? Okay.
Nope.
Yeah, I think you're right, actually. There was a,
If you look, the email came out after last week's meeting.
right. Well, I mean, if you think that it would benefit you and the board is agreeable, I don't have a problem.
I would just go back to, I'm already going to this one. I'm
I already
not sure
paid
why
for it. It's, like I say, at my own risk, though.
Right. So you're gonna go anyway, even if we don't approve it. Am I correct?
That's correct. I did
Okay.
assume the risk of assigning myself, you know,
Right.
paying to go to make sure that I could reserve a spot.
Okay.
Well,
So-
I guess, I mean, I don't want Mary paying for these things, but I also don't want the signups without approval either, so.
Well, in this case, we may just want to reimburse the registration fee. It's $35.
My Saturday is at my own expense.
It's fine, motion to approve the $35, but going forward, I'd like the chance to actually look and approve before we do this.
I second, I mean, I think it's a good class, especially as we potentially move forward towards a town manager, that whatever you can bring back and do's and don'ts of social media, which we talk about, and things like
Yeah.
that, so.
Well, like I said, my thought was I was already going, so
Yeah.
there wasn't really a point in.
Okay. Well, I mean, there could be a benefit to
2 people.
2 people going. So motion made, motion seconded.
Mhm.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay.
So, I put the space building use issues on because I've been thinking that it might be a good idea to do a subcommittee for this type of thing. I mean, I just want to throw it out there to you guys first and see what you were thinking, if that would be a good idea for you, for us, I should say. And we could pick which people, their jobs, and how they would bring something to this space building use issue. We could have a member of the planning board, possibly this building inspector, maybe an employee from the building, and then for outside buildings, maybe we want highway, to bring back the information and maybe a suggestion to us for this kind of thing, and see if there's people who are interested in helping us out with this.
Okay. One of the things I haven't talked to anybody, but just as a thought, and this may be a thought for whatever committee we put together, but one of the things that I had thought about was maybe moving June and Amy down to the end, so they're no longer getting interrupted there, and they can move their filing cabinets, ever-expanding filing cabinets, down in that end building.
You mean like the finance committee
The finance
room?
committee room, because that's an underutilized room. That's barely ever used for meetings.
Except finance committee.
Yeah. Veteran services, I haven't even been in that office, but if we do end up having a TA come in, it might make sense to put them in there and move veteran services over to where June and Amy are. These are just things that were buzzing around, but those are
right.
thoughts that I had about maybe better usages of space.
And if we put the subcommittee together, maybe it's a good idea for you to put those things out there to this group?
That's fine. Yeah. I just wanted to let you know that I had been sort of
Thinking about
moving
it?
puzzle pieces around.
Yeah. Yeah, I think we need to get input. Even, I did talk to Tim, and he said, that's a good idea as far as having a planning board member.
So we just asked planning.
Well, I would
Okay.
defer to both of you if you had any other suggestions other than what I brought up.
No, I still think that we need, before we jump to solution, I still think we need what's being moved. Are we asking office type, or are we asking antique fire type truck?
Both.
So,
They're
I think
two different
both.
problems.
Right.
Yeah.
but still, I mean, I'm not seeing any type of, besides June's awesome list, I'm not seeing truly anything else. You've got rec committee saying, oh, is it lengthy or is it short term? Well,
Right.
that doesn't really give me what you need for space. Same with either council on aging or cemetery. So, I agree that we do need some people involved in this, not a lot. We don't need a committee to have a committee.
Right.
But again, we need to know, what is it you want moved? And what space do we have available before we can say, you get.
Well, and that might be part of the task of this group, though, is to
Just to go
find
around
out.
and ask.
Well, if they're not getting the input they need from people, they could make that as we could make that as part of their task. I think Dennis had an email about some issues, space issues,
Yeah,
correct?
he kind of needs a door.
Yeah,
That's kind of the solution to that if he stays there.
if he
it's a
stays there, he
door.
needs a door, right. One of my things is, though, I would hate to lose the meeting rooms. It's nice to have two large meeting rooms. Perhaps it may get to a point where we have to use part of one or something.
Yeah.
But we have an awful lot of meetings that go on here. And then but we also do have the 1870 Town Hall where we could schedule people to have meetings. I think we're gonna have to come up with maybe a new plan for having the door unlocked and people to go into the meetings and then locking the doors afterwards. But, there's a lot to look at, a lot to think about. So I just wanted to perhaps have a small discussion here, and whether we want to put out an email that we want to look for interested parties from perhaps planning board and maybe for the issues outside of this building, we have talk to Dave about
Yeah,
it.
you kind of have to.
And the building inspector, if he's interested, and he's gonna have a lot of time taken up by this job right now, but perhaps he could be consulted or something if necessary, or something, I don't wanna create more work if it's not necessary for him. So, how does that sound to you all?
That's fine.
Yeah, I think we should just cast a net and ask who wants to be involved and what the goal is that we want to do, and a time frame, because we don't want this to linger.
Right.
Come back by X date with people, come back by X date with what you found, come back by X date for what we need to move.
Solutions.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay. Mary, you want to put together an email
Could
and
do that.
maybe run it past us or something?
Yep.
Okay. All right. Special town meeting warrant articles, the update on the warrant articles. Mary, have you heard from anyone as far as, I guess it's really not necessary for us to know if people are gonna make an amendment to their articles.
I'm
They-
gonna start drafting motions to the best of my ability and then seek feedback from everybody else, because how it works is usually that we do have motions in advance that we can review with town council. But I'm not sure that we're gonna get
Yeah.
motions from people before town meeting, but, you know.
Well, most of the articles, aren't they basically
Most of
what's
them are-
already written?
Yeah, most of them are not that big of a deal.
Right.
The beginning and the end of the meetings are the bigger ones.
Right.
Planning board historically does not send them with enough time for the town council to review.
Mhm.
But with town council's comments, they probably already know what they need to do. They need to
Right.
make a motion on the floor anyhow to amend their tables.
More than likely.
Yeah, and I
Okay.
guess the town management study committee is working on amendments too. That's what Eloise told me happened at last week's meeting, I don't know.
Oh, I don't know. I don't know, I haven't,
If so, and
They
if
looked
people have
at
a
what was
multi-page.
there, but I don't know that there was.
I just heard, I just sent them a concern that I had heard. I don't think they're gonna change anything to do with that.
Well, I don't know, Eloise was there, she said they were making further edits, and I said, really, last week after it already went to people's homes, and she said, yes. So, I don't know,
Well, I
if they do, they should have a handout
right,
ready to hand out at the back of
Right.
the room so that people can follow, and perhaps even lines numbered, so that people can be directed to a certain page and a certain line, just to be able to follow along.
yeah.
'Cause
Well,
it's too
I
many
mean, that's
pages.
up to them to
Yeah.
Yeah.
explain that,
I know.
so.
And I don't think there was anything, but.
Okay.
um, I
Tim definitely said that
figured,
the planning board would have probably a handout.
okay. But yeah, I think just draft them to the best of your ability,
That's it.
and,
I'll send them to everybody too.
and I think we'll have an opportunity for, talk to Amy for a few minutes as far as the like-kind soil, the earthworks bylaw
Tomorrow.
But I'm assuming that the changes in that article are gonna need to be amended.
Yeah.
So,
That was a big word.
there was a what?
There was a big word missing there.
Yeah, there was a
There
couple
were
of things that seemed like it would make a big difference, like
Yeah.
feet to yards and things like that. And,
Yeah, so.
I was looking at it today, and so I think what we would have to do there, well, let's talk to her tomorrow if we get a chance. Even if it's offline, I can ask her if these are things, if we're gonna make one amendment, why not make them all? I mean, you know what I'm saying?
Create a completely revised warrant.
No. Just, I mean, if you're gonna amend the word that says feet to yards, then there might be a couple of other things you might as well amend at the same time. You know what I'm saying?
In just
Um,
the earthworks.
Yeah, just the earthworks
Okay.
bylaw, or accept her changes. I mean, I can sit down with her maybe between meetings or after the meeting or something, and just make sure that I'm on the right page. Do we have favorites that we want to divvy up as far as who wants to help make a motion if necessary, or help explain if necessary?
Well,
Do you want to do the town management?
Yeah.
All right. So,
And two.
Yep.
you want to do 1 and 2?
Yeah,
All right.
that's the one that, for the search committee.
Right.
This is the second one.
Chris, the regional school agreement.
Wait a minute, I'm a little slow. Town management is
long.
so long. Okay. Yep, I can make that motion. I tried to make it last year,
I
and
know,
nobody
yeah.
paid attention.
It didn't go with the-
That was
Thanks,
it. All right, and then the highway payroll transfer part-time wages.
I can do 4 and 5, I mean, they're similar.
Yeah. Okay. Do you want to do this one, Lisa, the matching grants, or do you want me to do
I
it?
can do matching grants.
Okay. Peg, do you dear want to do the fire ones, or at least
Well-
a couple of them?
I mean, I can bring them up, but I really think that Paul needs to,
Oh, he
You
can
just-
explain
you
it.
have
To the front, yeah.
You have to call him up because he's not a citizen.
oh, I'll call him up.
Right.
Oh, I'll call him up. Get out of that line of fire,
Yeah.
I'll call him up.
And that's
Mhm.
a Chief Galvin thing too, so it might be worth getting him.
He won't be here.
Oh, he,
He's on vacation till the
he's gone.
16th, he said.
So was it the 16th? I thought he was
Yeah.
back for the town meeting.
So do you want to do all 1, 2,
I'll do 7, 8, 9.
what's that?
7, 8, 9, they're
Oh,
all
I'm not
fire.
counting them, I mean, I don't have them numbered, so breathing apparatus, advanced life support,
Those are all fire things. Have fun.
and the public safety dorm space. Okay. Do you want me to do earthworks?
Yeah.
Sure.
10.
All right. This is a long one, too.
Cable's the next one.
Okay, who wants to do cable?
Your name's right in there, Peg.
Ah, I know it is, because I thought that this was money coming to
I was
me.
gonna say I'd do that one since Pig got had to do all the fire stuff, but you're welcome to it if you want it.
I'll take this one, I'll still
Okay.
be standing after that one.
Okay.
We'll see how closely the town's paying attention when I ask for a PEG access grant.
Nice.
Yeah.
Mhm, and I'll just leave it at that, just saying.
They'll just vote for it then.
Mm-hmm.
Special article closeout. Do I need to do another one? I wasn't counting. I'll do another one if you want.
You're light.
Yeah, am I late? Okay.
Mhm.
I can do that one. Well, Dennis is a resident, so he could do abandoned funds, borrowing
Yeah,
premiums,
5, I think. Or 4.
This is gonna take all night.
authority to deny building permits, licenses for non-payment of
That's
taxes.
his.
Tax collector fees. All right, and then the planning board can do the marijuana.
Well, he does 17, Dennis. That's his tax. And
Yes.
then- And then, then
Tax collector fees, is that what you're asking? Is that what you meant?
Dennis does tax, he also
Yeah.
does 17, the marijuana tax.
17 is the marijuana tax where he's talking about a 3%.
Oh,
Tax.
okay. Here, I wasn't paying attention to what marijuana one it was. All right, well, he's got to have his hands full, huh? All right, then we'll do the planning board and...
Ornella.
Ornella.
So planning board, 19, That's planning board as well.
Yep. Okay.
And a motion to adjourn.
Well, whoever's left standing gets to do
Yeah.
that one. How's that? All right. Sounds good. Is there anything else we need to talk about? Special town meeting. We're meeting at
7. Oh, 6:30?
6:30.
Yep. I just
Um,
posted a shell for whatever you might want to talk about.
Right, if we have anything,
A warrant possibly too, and the regular payroll and expenses.
right. Okay. So 6:30,
6:30 here?
No, over in
Over
the,
there?
over at Berlin Memorial.
Okay.
Okay. What, no, did I put liaison updates on here? I did? Did I? Was that on that email?
Want to just skip over that?
I just have one.
Oh, you know what? I think I meant it as,
As selectmen
You numbered
updates.
them.
yes, selectmen
Yeah.
updates.
You numbered it like there was something special and I didn't
No,
dare
no,
ask
no,
it?
I'm sorry.
Okay.
I'm sorry. So, I mean, but we
Yeah.
could probably do that
Yeah,
after
later.
the selectmen's initiatives, or whatever you want to call that, Peg. Whatever you're going to call it.
Okay, right there where it says selectmen initiatives.
All
No,
right.
so what I did is I went out to the various towns who had initiatives and tried just to follow their formatting. So instead of, going through and adding a table, which people probably wouldn't understand, is just to put them under various categories. So some of the issues that came up, like the voice of the town and positions, I mean, just, again, to give some information to the folks of the town as to what we're doing besides the items that may show up on the agendas or may show up in the meetings. And then I thought where it could go, I whizzed out to our site. So I don't know, I mean, because there's a section right there that says, hi, we're the board, and then how to contact us. I thought it would be a good spot here, but it might be too big, so we just might need to pop that as a link and have it come up. I don't know how this will fit, page-wise. I'll have to work with Webmaster Guy and see how we can do that, but figure that was the most obvious place as to after, hi, who we are, here's what we've done, and here's how to get a hold of us. And then I can take care of updating this as we go along, and these subheaders, they may disappear in the next one. So it's just where we are now for a given piece of time. And I'll figure out, maybe we can put I can put a date in here so that people can go back and we can see, and maybe the link changes just to say Selectmen initiatives, October something, boop. Next one, Selectmen initiatives, January something, boop. Just so that people can see the running tally. I just like doing boop, that's all. So we'll get this out there.
All right. Any questions? Any liaison updates?
It was requested that I ask if we, I figured we would probably do this anyways. The folks came to clean up the streets in the town.
Oh,
Yes.
I did see.
Yes. I figured that we probably said thank you to that organization anyways, just because we asked for their help and they helped us. So I figured I'd ask if we
I
said
did that for
thank
tomorrow
you.
night's meeting if you want to have a signed letter from the board
Yeah, that'd be good.
addressed to the sheriff and all.
Mhm.
Yes.
And all.
Yes.
Yes,
Yes.
I saw it,
Absolutely.
okay. Will do.
So how did the whole thing go? Do you know? Do
My
you know?
understanding is they did a beautiful job.
Good.
And people noticed.
Great. I was too busy looking at all my notes at home, so I didn't notice yet.
Not even gonna say a word.
Yeah.
Nope.
There's
Did
more.
you see it? It was your, the cleanup areas, or?
Oh, indeed,
Yeah.
indeed. I mean, it started out nice and then just went nasty
Oh,
quickly.
No, I meant the
Oh,
roadside though, did it look okay?
Oh, yeah, I mean, they look great,
Yeah.
and so
it
it's,
never hurts to say thank you when somebody's done
Correct.
Oh,
something nice,
absolutely.
even if you've requested their help.
Yeah.
Saying,
Oh, yeah.
Saying thank you is just
Oh, I agree.
something we do.
correct, it's the polite thing to do.
Yep,
Right.
I will
So-
look that up for tomorrow, and I'll send a draft to you all.
good.
Mhm.
All right. Trying to remember, what did I do last week?
Oh, and we are officially in the mock-up was approved, and we're moving forward with the website, so
Oh, okay.
hopefully 3 to 4 months.
So can we see it? Maybe not at tomorrow's meeting, but the next meeting? Do we have time at the next
You
meeting?
saw, I showed you the quick mock-up. There's nothing past that at this
Okay.
point, other than the mock-up. When they give us something to
I was searching on there
Push.
today, could not find a thing.
anything, right? Yeah.
Nope.
We're gonna fix that. It
So-
will be better.
That's good. See. I guess I had a conversation with the 1870 Town Hall manager, and she was agreeing that it might be a good idea to update her job description to be something more, as far as marketing and that kind of thing. And I wondered if it would be all right with you if I kind of took it upon myself to look at what's there and see if I could figure out how to add a little bit more of marketing into it, because all it says is marketing at the top with no more detail.
Don't we have a personnel
Less is
committee now?
more.
Isn't this a personnel committee? thing?
Oh, hey,
Unless you really are
No.
really wanting to do this.
no,
that's kind of a
I was just
personnel committee thing,
as
right?
far as the town advisory committee and trying to decide, what do we need to do there. That was where I figured I'd start, but I can share what I've
Yeah.
drafted with the personnel committee. That's
Yeah,
fine.
because I think you're
Might
closer
make my
to
job
it, so
easier.
you would know more, about what is needed. And it would cut down on the time rather than trying to go out and get the information, so, and then we can just pass it to them once
That's true.
you get closer.
Gee.
But yeah, we have them now, so don't.
Yes,
Yeah.
I know. All right. Well, that sounds good. Yeah, I'll do that. I'll just throw them the draft and let them figure out if that's appropriate or not.
I'll give them the heads up.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. I think that was about it. Peg, you have anything?
No, just working with the personnel committee to get those straggling personnel evaluations in.
Mm-hmm.
So, we're getting there. We're getting down on the list.
Yeah. I did meet with Joe, I think last week, which
Mhm.
is pretty much what we all discussed here tonight, so,
Yeah.
that
Yeah,
was
because
good.
there were quite a few that Claire had highlighted, and I'm like, yeah, we gotta do it, we gotta do it, we gotta do it, we gotta do it. So,
Right.
the other ones we were able to chase down and get them in.
Okay. Great. All right. I think we've done everything unless there's other new business or old business.
Nay,
And
so
we
what
have no
time tomorrow?
executive session.
6?
Tomorrow night
30?
is 6.
6.
And then there's a ZBA meeting at 7.
Mm-hmm.
So it'll just be a very quick presentation tomorrow night, and I think that's it. So if we have nothing further, then I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye.